Gonna be built like a tank.
We heard on the street they was up to something. We had to come check it out. This is gonna be crazy, man. I can't wait to see this, man.
Customizing a delivery van definitely has some challenges, but this is actually gonna change Dave's life. They told me it can't be done. You're in the right spot. Beautiful. Ryan, bring it on in.
Oh my God, dude.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
When I first seen her, I thought it would have been better off if I just would have turned that thing away. But, you know, that's not what Extensive is about. We like the challenge. We like, you know, when somebody comes in and says you can't do that, that's more reason to do it. You know, I don't know if it's where I'm from or what, but there's something inside me that just doesn't like to be told, that's too hard. This is too much work. Thinking too big. You know, when I hear stuff like that, that's just when it's time to get to work. Going through and putting this car together, that's when you really start to get the ideas of making this thing different from all the other Cadillacs around. You know, if you're only going to do the easy jobs, there's never a challenge. What's the point? We're in the dream-making business. So that's what we're about to do on Earl's right now.
Pretty cool working on this Cadillac, man. I've been around Cadillacs pretty much my whole life, you know. Mostly in my scene, in the lowrider scene.
Man, a Cadillac's one of them cars that's always going to stand the test of time. It's got the name. It's made for the king.
You know, a famous car for a famous NFL player, Earl Campbell, you know.
Y'all talking about the Cadillac?
Oh, yes.
Man, you remember when this thing came in? I was getting a little nervous when it started rolling in and rolling in and rolling in and rolling in, right? You know, parts on a wrecker, trailer, in the car for Earl Campbell. You can't not get him hooked up, right?
Mm-hmm. Now we just need to finish it.
You know, we've already got the new frame underneath this thing. The body's all mounted to the frame with the custom air suspension. The rust is all repaired. This thing's really starting to look like something now. I'm getting excited. Time to put that new engine in, a brand new LSX for this thing. So he's got plenty of power.
Can't believe we're putting LSX in it. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be awesome.
You know, in the engine compartment too, I want to redo the firewall. Give him a nice bead rolled firewall, something that looks totally different, right? And not only new firewall, I want new sheet metal, nice fender wells that roll down and kind of mold to the firewall. And when Earl sees this thing, I really want him to go, man, this is cool. John, I know you worked on a lot of Cadillacs, buddy. You got room for one more, huh?
One more.
All right. I'm going to go get this engine. Let's get going. All right.
I never drove a Cadillac with air suspension, but I drove a Cadillac with hydraulics. It's beautiful. I'd love to take this thing out for a ride.
You know, Earl Campbell's a Hall of Famer, but before that, he was just a kid from Texas. He used his God-given talents to do things that nobody special as he is. Every piece of metal work we're going to do on this Caddy is going to have design details in places most folks will never even see.
We're going to take the time to make this engine bay look really good, just as good as the outside of the car. So what we're going to do is make a really nice tub and make it look like all one piece. That way it kind of fills in this engine bay, but not so much where you're going to hide the motor. We want the motor with as much visibility as possible. That's the heart of the car. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this filler panel here, but I'm going to make it look cool. It's just not going to be no flat piece that's going to come down from the top to the bottom. I'm going to make it roll out and then roll back down. Give it a little style, you know? Make it look cool, just like the car is. Now we got this nice pretty piece tacked in place. I can continue rolling this on another panel to come all the way down. Not The easiest way to hold this in place without tacking it is to use this little thing called a Kiko. This is similar to a removable rivet, I guess you would call it. I don't want to tack it in place yet because I might have to remove it when I mess with the firewall. So all those little Kikos hold that in place, and these flat bars make it flush with the other pieces of the firewall. We can get these out of the way since they're just Klikoed in. Cool thing about working on such a large car and this big engine bay, it's gonna be a lot of fun to fill this space with something cool and custom.
I'm not sure if you've seen old footage of Earl Campbell running with a football, but man, he was fast, powerful, and just mean. He didn't run from a hit, he just dished them out. So we want an engine that runs just as powerful as old Earl did back in the day. Well, almost as much. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Man, good.
All right. You here to pick up that new engine?
You know it.
And this is that one for that 49 Caddy, right?
Man, you know we need a lot of power in that thing. Big,
Yes,
heavy
sir.
Cadillac like that.
The one who towed Earl Campbell around in?
Yep.
Well, here comes your engine right here.
Man, let's check this thing out. Man, this is exactly what we need for old Earl. Small package and a big punch. What's the horsepower on this?
627 and 586 foot-pounds of torque.
Man.
Well, I know you're going to be happy with it, and I hope Earl Campbell will be happy with.
Start building around it. This LSX is just a power plant to have, much like the old 454s that were in all the hot rods back in the day. The LSX is much lighter, a lot smaller, and more efficient than the original, but with a ton of power. This engine is definitely the one to put in a build like this. Engine's in before lunch! Looks pretty dang good.
Just one spoiled Cadillac, huh?
Right? You know, most of the time the engine compartments are so crammed you don't really get to see everything in it. Man, this thing is could have V12 in this thing. You know, on the firewall too, man. We have so much room we don't even have to notch it for the transmission tunnel. And I love this design you have here. And how about we incorporate this into the firewall itself so it come down and have that little that 3D look too. You know, John and I are old school fabricators. So with the metal work on this car, we're definitely not using a computer. We take what's in our heads and make it with our hands. Man, I know this is becoming one of your favorites. Got to.
Yeah, sure is, Colin.
Me too. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that gives us room for ideas and
We kind of got an idea of what we want to do on this firewall to make it match these inner fenders. Thinking of it is cool, but doing it is a whole different ballgame. So it's going to take me a little time to figure out all these angles. We got to do it right the first time. If not, we got to start all over from the beginning. So measure it, calculate before I start bending. It's a lot of bends. This is the radius that we got on the inner fender. This is the piece that's going to go across the bottom of the firewall. And I just want to try to get them to match. We want to keep that same radius throughout the whole engine bay. Kind of hard because there's like a million things going on in here at once. Playing a little game of small cuts, cutting a little bit at a time till it fits in place right. Because if you cut too much, then you got a big hole you got to fill. And it'll fit right in there just the way we want. Now that the lower road part of the firewall is in, it's time to make the top part of the firewall. I'm gonna trace the shape of the cowl onto the panel. Cut it out, slap it back on there, and then we're gonna design what we're gonna bead roll on here. We'll be able to get rolling.
Man,
Think about that.
I love it. I love that rolled edge, how it goes around. That really helps out. How about something with a V pattern here in the core support? So that just makes sense to carry that on through. The letter V has been a design element on Caddies as long as I can remember. So on Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac, we're putting subtle V touches everywhere, including the firewall. I think it'll play in all together with the whole design of the engine compartment. I think something like that. You know, of course, I want to lay it out a little better, a little more square, but...
Oh, you want it straight?
Yeah.
I removed the panel from the firewall, and all I'm doing is straightening out all the lines that we rough sketched in here, make everything even all the way around. I'm gonna draw me out some straight lines that I'm gonna follow with the rolls on the bead roller. Little tip, take your time, roll it slow so you can follow your line straight. You roll it too fast and you get a little wiggly, you'll see it in your roll. So you gotta have some patience. If not, we gotta start all over. I think that looks pretty damn good. And we're ready to tack this thing in place. An original Cadillac symbol, meaning V8, fits the car really well, especially having this nice LSX 454 in the engine compartment. Make it feel at home.
Not every build that comes through here is going to be for someone as famous as Earl. No matter what the build, we always put in the same passion and talent. Because to that person, their build, big or small, is the most important thing in the world to them. You know, when a white Sprinter van pulls up to the shop, you automatically think you're getting a package. But in this case, it's going to be a very important build. You know, we're super busy right now. But when Dave and his family called me out of the blue, I told them to come on over, I'll take a look. How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself? Doing good.
What's happening?
Thank you, Mr. Bill.
What y'all got going on today?
Well, last September, I bought me a 2017 Mercedes Sprinter, and it is very, very difficult for me to get in. I come from a motocross background, started when I was 4 years old, and at the age of 31, I was out at Three Palms, and came up short. Actually didn't come up short, I just went over the bars, and that was the end of that.
So that's what put you in the chair.
That's what put me in the chair. The end goal is from a seat.
And what you need is it down on the ground so you can get in and drive this thing.
Absolutely. So the way the van sits right now and as high as it is, it's too difficult for my family to be putting me in and out. And so it's, you know, it's time. It's been 16 years. And it's time for me to drive myself. I've searched around quite a bit, took it to several different shops, was asking about putting it on bags, and they told me it can't be done. They just said they don't do it when I asked to drop it. And here I am.
We were told no so many times. And Dave Jr. said, hey, Dad, I heard about this guy. I think he can do it. You're in the right spot.
I hear you. Like to hear.
I have friends that race. I love off-roading too. You know, of course, when you hear a story like this, you just want to get in and help. You know, anything we can do to make his life better, we're definitely going to do it. I see these Mercedes Sprinter vans everywhere because even though it doesn't look super cool, this 2017 has a super efficient diesel and it has tons of space to put whatever you want in it. Well, let's check this thing out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely see the height here. You'd have to have a 20-foot ramp to get up in this thing easily.
Yeah.
You need this thing down the ground so you can have a ramp go up in it.
A ramp would be nice. A ramp would be really nice.
When you're in it, you need that chair out of the way so you can pull up into it.
What I would like is for the front seat to swivel. You know, I don't want to drive from a power chair. Plus, I don't like it. It seems like it's just super dangerous to me.
We definitely got you on that.
That sounds great.
So you have a motocross history. You like cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
We got to get rid of this delivery van look, man.
Yeah, it looks pretty much like a cargo van.
So what do you think about wrapping this thing, putting some cool wheels and tires on it, dropping it? This thing is going to look cool.
I just want to be part of the family, bud.
That's it.
Hey, if you can put one truck that high up in the air, I got faith that you can put one on the ground.
Oh, we're going to do it.
Dude, you're going to make me pass out, man. I have full confidence that these guys have it, and, I mean, I'm just ready. I'm just excited. I can't wait.
All right, man, let's go make it happen.
Let's do it.
Customize a lot of vehicles at the shop, but you know, a Sprinter van is definitely lower on the list of sought after vehicles. You know, customize some challenges. We got our work cut out for us for that, of not only serving a purpose to help Dave in his life to make it easier, but he wants something cool also. We do builds all the time at Extensive. We get them in, out every day. You know, this project right here is a little more special. I mean, this is actually going to change Dave's life.
Why do you have a delivery van?
No, man, we're not fixing a delivery van. Customer's name's Dave. You know, he had a motocross accident, so he's in the wheelchair. So what we're going to try to do is give him that freedom, independence back to do what he needs to do. But it needs to look cool, too.
Yeah, we can take care of that. That's our business.
That's it, man. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some air suspension on this thing to drop this thing down to the ground. So we're going to pull out the leaf springs in the rear, you know, clean all the axle off and build the tooling for the rear. Get it super low.
No doubt.
Same with the front. Put in all the new compressors, tanks, the whole nine.
So we're trying to give him something else back that's a lot of fun that he can do on his own and have a good time.
Exactly. Not only to the van. So we're going to install a wheelchair ramp that shoots out the side of this thing. Dave can ride right in himself and do his thing. Once we figure out the ramp situation, the next thing we're going to tackle the custom driver's seat. So he can put himself in the chair, spin himself right around, go on about his day, and have that independence back.
Super convenient. So you gonna stick with the smuggler look, the all white, or are we doing something cooler?
No delivery van. No, we're going to definitely, you know, it's got the motocross background. He needs to have that cool feeling of riding around also. So we're going to start out wrapping this thing, and then we're going to finish it off with some really cool wheels.
Awesome. It's a little bit out of the ordinary, but it's going to be pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Well, I'm ready to get started on this thing. Let's get it on the 2-post. Knock this thing out, man.
Sound good, man. You know, lowering this van to the ground is going to look awesome. So we're going to change up the rear suspension on this van. We're going to change it over to a 2-link. So I'm going to take these leaf springs out, the shocks. But I'm going to start stripping this stuff off and get to business. All right, now I got all that taken apart. It's time to get these leaf springs out. We're going to need as much space as, now that I have everything out of my way, I'm going to take this little 1/2 inch out, and that's a 1/2 inch lower that we're going to be.
This van has a steel unibody, which means the frame is built into the body. Luckily, we have just enough room to fit the air suspension, so we don't have to cut notches, which is cool. It saves us a lot of work. We got the big springs out of the way. That's going to let this thing sit way low to the ground. You know, we're not going to cut the floor, not going to do a C-notch, so we're just going to set the axle right on the unibody itself. So it's going to be super low and have perfect angle for that ramp.
Is that a 22 going on here? 24.
He said 22.
It's really getting a 24, bro. Oh, man, it's gonna be freaking huge.
It's not every day we get to work on a 2017 Sprinter, but also it's not every day we get to change someone's life. Putting this van on air suspension is going to get Dave that much closer to driving.
Since the sheet metal on these rear tubs is so thin, it's not as solid as we like. So we're gonna add some structure into this thing. We're gonna brace the frame, brace the bottom of the floor, and we're also gonna put a little plate here. We can through bolt it. Everything's working with each other here. Nothing's working against each other. It's like with as much weight as it's gonna be carrying and the load and the sway and everything, it needs to be structurally sound. I came at the perfect time.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Thank you, buddy.
There you go. You can go ahead and clean them up.
It's hot.
Watch out.
What I'm doing is trying to get this 90-degree angle right on the money. And then the next one, you just hammer down on the pedal. That doesn't work for you. Perfect. Back to the van. It's right on the money. It's exactly what we wanted. Now we can punch some holes in this, connect the dots, and now we're one step closer to having the rear suspension built. Now that we got our plates made, you can see everything kind of coming together. And we can through bolt it to the inside of the cab, put a backing plate on the other side, and you get a little bit more structure out of it that way. kits for just about any application, any car, any truck, anything like that. But when we have builds like this or just one-off builds, we typically build, I mean, we could easily go pull something off the shelf and throw it on here and just make it work. But later on down the line, you might run into a problem. So I like to just literally make every part and piece for every single vehicle that I build. That way I know 100% that it's perfect for what we're building it for. Beautiful. Love it. And that's lunch.
And yoga has started.
Now that John's finished fabricating the engine bay on Earl's 49 Cadillac, he's going to move into the cab.
So what we're going to do is continue to firewall back over the transmission. So I'm making a trans tunnel. I'm going to make a template of how I want this end of it shaped. I never took art class, but instead of doing schoolwork, I was drawing in all my notebooks. Now we can get the end of that tunnel shape and make it flow into the floorboards. Pretty close. Now we got a whole lot of cutting to do. When you're hand building something, you're building it in place and, oh, that'll work. You know, everything's made to fit. First piece in, I got about 2 more to go. I know Earl's not gonna mind what his trans tunnel looks like while he's driving his car down the road, but this thing is gonna be built like a tank, and I'm sure he'll love it as much as I do.
Our next step of getting the floor sheet metal put in is locking the rear end up. You know, this thing's got 600 plus horsepower, almost just as much torque. So we need a rear end that's really going to stand up to all that. So we got a fabricated 9-inch. Then we can build our drive shaft tunnel around the mocked up drive shaft. And then we'll start building the floor around that.
Now it's time to cut our center section out of our floor. Let's see if we can do a straight line. Then we can put our drive shaft tunnel in. Now we got the tunnel in, pinion angle was set. What I'm gonna do is bottom out that axle so we can put our new inner tubs in.
I love adding style in a place you least expect it. You know, that's what a full build is. John's finishing up the metalwork with as many design elements as possible in the rear of the 49 Caddy.
You know, when taking apart these old cars, sometimes you gotta use your head, not only to do it right, but to hold the parts. What I did here is I got me a piece of pipe that'll fit in this axle hub. I cut me out a piece of flat bar about the height of the tire. What I'm gonna do is use this, make me a perfect circle of where I need to cut to put our new tub in here. With this all opened up, move on to the other side and get that cut out. Since we had our rear end bottomed out, we know what our very top needs to be. Now we need to figure out how wide it needs to be front and back. And now we could do that same thing we just did at that height, and we will get a perfect arc at an 18-inch radius. This is all coming together real nicely. We got our fenders put back on, got them all welded out. Now we can cap the inner tubs and get our notch cover built. A custom car. You know, this could have been a flat panel, and what would we have done? You know, undercoated the car or something, flatlined it. But now that we have this nice little design, it could be painted glossy and it'll look good. You know, it's just a little added touch to doing something that's worthwhile. One challenge we got is the notch has 2 crossbars from frame roll to frame roll that bow like this. So what I'm gonna do is make a template to that contour and get that template transferred onto a piece of sheet metal. I'm gonna draw me some designs and bead roll it to match what we got on the firewall. See how it looks? Would you look at that? Man, it looks real good.
these airbags are gonna lower this van, and it's totally gonna help out for this ramp we're gonna install. He'll be able to drive for the first time in 16 years. It's a total game changer.
Wrapping it up, huh?
Yeah, you came in at the perfect time.
Always come at the perfect time. It looks real good.
Thank you.
All the suspension's done, huh? Line's done, electrical's done.
Yeah, dude, I got everything mounted, tucked up in here real nice and together and not all over the place. Usually we jinx ourselves saying, it's going to happen.
We gotta have one easy every once in a while, right?
They can't all be difficult all the time, huh?
No, they can. Well, cool. Let's get the wheels on and get this thing on the ground, man. Let's see what it looks like. Cool. And then we'll start working on the inside.
Yeah, buddy. All right.
All right, Ryan, let's drop this thing down. No more delivery van, right?
Nah. It's right
it looks
there
cool
on the
too.
mud flaps, man.
Right?
It's sick. Until we get them wheels on there, it's gonna look good, man.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's get this thing aired up. Let's get it on a drive-on lift so we can start building the ramp on this thing.
Sounds good, man.
The ramp needs to be installed flush with the floor, so Ryan's got to make an opening for it.
All right, so I used the framing square just to find out where my door was. We know here is our door. We're not going any further past this point. Here's the center of the actual opening of the door and everything we got. So we have this much room to work with. Our deck is 41 1/8. So within our parameters, we have a lot of room to work with, which is really good. Just triple check your measurements, because we're about to cut the entire floor of this thing out. All right, now that I have all my lines done, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this whole section out where our ramp is gonna go. All right, so you can see from the inside here where our lines are, where they're coming down. We're already planning on reboxing this whole entire frame into the unibody, and we're gonna plate the side of it and then cap the top off once we're done and have everything bolted in where we need it. So just to get this whole center out of the way, cut this whole top section out, and then we have a wide open area we can work with, full measurements, and do what we gotta do. It's loose? Yeah, it's loose. It's not heavy. Got it. Yeah, I got it. I'm done. So now I got this big hole in the middle of this floor. I want to get the ramp in here, and I want to see exactly what we're looking like. Hey, be careful on the floor right there. See if you can hop down into the floor, onto the ground. This ramp isn't meant for this van. It's meant for like a tour bus. So what we're doing is trying to make this work for what we got, This is what we do. We're fabricators. If we can see it, we can make it happen. So what we're doing is, making it happen. And that's the job. That's what we do. I'm gonna make a channel that will go over the frame rail to cap our frame rail where we cut it in half and stitch all the way down the frame rail and work our way. We're gonna have to brace all this up, make a mount for this thing to actually sit on, and put some structure back into this van. Alright, now we got the main structure tacked into place. We got our frame rails boxed in, and we got the actual track that our ramp is bolted to. So really all that's left to do now is weld this up, patch some holes up, and we'll be ready to wire it up and test this thing out.
We're going to make as many parts as we can for Earl's 49 Caddy right here in the shop. However, there's a few parts we need. So when it came to the radiator, we had to have one specifically built for this job. In the shape of a V, of course.
Front of the car is exactly what this thing needed. Get all this cut out and just continue to make the little V shape here.
Hell yeah, we'll build a support around the radiator.
Man, I've never seen a V radiator before.
Yeah, me neither. That is nice. The bottom part of the core support, which comes out all the way to the front bumper, we're gonna make that all one piece, and it gets welded to the fenders. This is gonna be one complete unit now with everything welded together. We're ready to get our radiator mocked up. We got these side pieces tacked in, which is gonna isolate where you can only view the radiator. Got that nice radiator in there. The edges need to look good too. We're gonna start forming this top part of here, so it's all one piece and structurally strong, and it looks damn cool. Make us a really nice fitment right there. Now what I'm gonna do is get that excess off. Now I got these pieces fitted in here pretty nice. Then we're gonna run us a couple bead rolls on these panels, kind of liven it up a little bit so it's not just so flat. Looks pretty good. So what I did here was I started off with maximum pressure here, and once I got to this line I drawn, which is 10 inches away from the edge, I started slowly fade out look instead of just a hard stop. Man, them lines match up perfectly. Little flavor to the front end here. Man, now we got this whole front end pretty much done. Got the grill fit in here perfect. This thing is looking really, really good.
Today's a milestone in the 49 Cadillac. After about 3 months of metal work, it's finally rolling over to the body shop.
From where it started to where it is now is a huge difference, and it's a good feeling seeing it come from the fab shop, finally going to the body shop, then insert the body and paint.
We got the ramp working on Dave's 2017 Sprinter van, but I definitely can't let it leave the shop in the delivery van white. So John and Jose wrapped the back of the van glossy black to make it look like it has a rear window, and they're wrapping the rest in a brushed black.
So the next step now is putting the razor wire on. As you can see, there's a tiny wire inside this tape. This allows me to get straight cuts whenever I put another overlapping vinyl on top. And once I'm to never put a blade on it, I won't be able to scratch it or damage my gloss black window.
A lot of people come to us to go get color changes. They're bored of their existing paint job and they want something new. Or certain models like Ferraris or Lamborghinis, they only come a certain color selection. Well, some clients, they want to be unique, so they do whatever it takes. They come to us, we get it done, and they're happy. And when they get tired of it, we remove it. The resale value doesn't get affected. The original paint is protected underneath, brand new.
Now with the wire all pulled out, all we're gonna do is pull out the green tape. As you can see the straight, perfect line that leaves behind. Perfect.
Well, let's go ahead and start get these side panels put in.
Always love giving a vehicle back to its owner. But this 2017 Sprinter van is just a little something extra because Dave's just going to be that much closer to driving. So we're installing a swivel seat for easier access, new 24-inch wheels, and some red accents to match those wheels.
I haven't sat in the driver's seat in 16 years, man. And the day's here, so I'm pumped.
You know, a lot of people have their own style, their own customization, but here, you know, the customization just keeps evolving. There's not blueprints, there's not schematics to do what we do. Everything we customize here is specifically to that build. Two of the same cars could come in here, but when they both leave, they'll be totally different and totally cool. You know, that's why I like coming to work. That's why I love doing what I do, just to get tested. I get bored any other way. I gotta have the challenge. I gotta have the creativity, you know, to get in and create something with my hands, to make something just cool. You know, bolting on the same parts day after day, you know, that's cool, but that's not the definition of custom to me. You know, building it all back up with as many parts as you can by hand, that's the definition of custom. What's happening, dude? How you doing? I mean, it always Oasis because we're giving this 2017 Sprinter van back to Dave, and I can't wait to see his reaction. Man, I know it's been a while. I know you've been waiting patiently.
When you're in this position, bro, that's the first thing you learn. Patience.
You ready to check this thing out? I know you guys are ready.
Yeah.
Ryan, bring it on in.
Oh my God, dude. Oh man, this is beautiful, dude. You gotta be kidding me, man.
Fine looking.
You gotta be kidding me.
That's what I was waiting to see. That's
You gotta
cool.
be kidding me, man.
What you think, man?
Bro, that is something else. Whoa, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, dude.
Oh man.
It doesn't look like that delivery van anymore, does it?
Oh, no, sir. That's why I brought it to you, Bill. There is nothing you can't do. It's overwhelming, dude. Seriously, man.
Because at first it could not be done.
Oh man, we did it.
You did it. You absolutely did it.
You guys ready to check this thing out?
I'm ready to open that thing up and let me check that ramp out because I know we got a ramp inside the thing, dude. Oh, my God.
Check it out.
Oh, my God.
Man, that ain't just something you just bolt on either. We had to cut the whole floor of the van out, restructure everything, and then make everything mount back. So you have two sets of controls. One will control the airbags, front, up and down, back up and down, and the center button right there operates the ramp.
Check it
Oh,
out.
check it out,
Check
Bubba.
it out, dude.
That's it, man. You think you can work with that?
Absolutely, dude. My power chair is going to have no problem going up in there. I'm just really stoked.
It was a first for us also, and hope you like it, man. It's pretty sick.
You know, once you're up in there, we have installed a swivel seat on the factory seat there, so
awesome.
and added some handles on there, so you can spin that thing around from the back and get up in it and do what you need to do, man. Go on about whatever you want to do, all on your own.
Dude, I'm speechless, man. Speechless.
You know, of course, we had to add some cool wheels and tires too. This had to be made specifically for this van. If we're going to have some made, we got to have some cool ones made too, right?
Oh, yes.
You know, after all that was done, we couldn't have the delivery van look. We had to have this thing wrapped. You know, John and Jose over at Pixel Works came in with a brushed black,
beautiful.
And man, that just really sets it off.
I mean, I can't believe the job you've got. I'm surprised your name isn't Copperfield, man, because it's magic, bro. It's magic.
I like to speak for all the guys at the shop. This is something special for us also. You know, not only a chance to do suspension on something that we don't normally do, the challenge of making the delivery van look cool, but to give you that independence back to really help you out in that aspect of your life. I mean, it's cool to be able to do for us also.
But that's what it's all about is independence, buddy. I'm stoked, man. Ready to get in this thing and go down the road. You guys don't get it, man. For someone like me, to be behind the driver's seat again, or behind the steering wheel, it's overwhelming. I haven't been behind a wheel in 16 years, bro. 16 years, man. Oh, man, dude.
Man, you look good in there.
I feel good in here. I don't even know what to say, man, but thanks.
Man, I appreciate that.
Tim, what up with it, man?
What you doing out rolling around?
I'm good, man. You know, I'm just cruising.
How's the car treating you?
Man, I'm loving it, man. You already know I'm loving it, man. Hey, look, all that small talk. Real reason why we here. We heard y'all was over here trying to do the match. That's the truth. Y'all trying to shut the
Man, I knew
Mac
Raymond
down.
didn't show up to say hi. What's up, Tim?
We heard on the street they was up to something. We had a few words on the street that they've been working on something special over here. We had to come check it out.
We had to come and check it out. I know Bill was up to something. They was too quiet,
I
Ron.
knew it too, man. Real deal, Bill. Hey, what's going on around here, Bill?
What up, man?
Man, what are you working
What's
on
up,
over
Bill?
here, man?
What you up to, Bill?
That's it.
Look at him. That's a 40s Cadillac.
That's it. 49.
This is gonna be crazy, man. I can't wait to see this, man.
You already know who it's for, huh?
Yeah, Earl Campbell, man. You know, we heard word on the street, so we had to pull up and see what was going on. Let me hit the club in this one.
So was this bad and slim?
You know, this wasn't even a complete car when we got it.
Man.
It was just a body, a frame, crates of parts just crammed in.
Oh, you was gonna rebuild it anyway, man. So it don't matter. You just that's what you do.
This is Earl's first custom car, so I really want him to just be impressed. You know, all around the bottom of this thing, all the sheet metal's all been gone through and straight. Built a new chassis from bumper to bumper on the front.
That's gonna be mean, man. What kind of energy you got up in there?
An LSX.
Wow. What is he gonna do with all that power?
Man, whatever he wants, right?
Earl Campbell like stuff big, you know, you're running back. He's running over people, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. All over the city in there, man. That's crazy. I sure don't like that, though. Man. Hey, man, you put the V in there for the Cadillac? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You see that, Slim? I see that. Sneak that V on. You see what they did?
One of the coolest things about this car is when you pop the hood, John fabricated all the panels inside the firewall.
He thought we didn't see that. Okay. You gotta watch it. You know what I'm talking about? I seen that V right there. They wasn't gonna even tell her. I like Earl a lot. Yeah. But I don't like Bill that might be trying to take us out. You know they gonna show him extra love because who he is. I sure don't like that, man. That's cold, boy. That's all right. What color you going, Bill? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Black on black. Black on black. Yes,
you had to have it.
2 black legs back to back on the freeway. That's gonna be nice. That's gonna be nice, man. You know Earl gonna let you drive it. Yeah, I sure hope he good. I can't wait. That'll ease the pain a little bit.
You know, the next step's the interior on this thing, and we really got some custom touches for him. Oh, yeah? It's really something special.
You hear that, Slim? I can't wait to see that part. They got secrets. Well, let me know if you don't like it. I might go back.
Yeah, we for sure set the bar on Slim's Cadillac. But stay tuned, because we got some stuff planned for Earl's that are going to go way beyond that.
We're going to keep out here to the street on y'all to see what's
the trophy.
I don't know I did a good job when it looks like you can just dive into this paper.
This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque, so this thing's going to be a tire shredder for sure.
The old school 1934 Buick, and yeah, a lot more power and a lot more reliability.
So we got us a little situation here.
The new old school. What? This is very quickly becoming one of my favorite cars.
Wow,
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Well, that hasn't been separated in a long time, huh?
It looks good. Everything's clean. All sheet metal looks pretty nice. You ready to roll it out?
Here, let's go.
We're known for custom trucks, but, you know, whatever rolls through the door, we're going to get our hands on and give the little extensive touch to it. And when we're building a 49 Cadillac for NFL Hall of Famer Earl Campbell, I mean, this guy's a living legend. So everybody in the shop's got to be on point and make sure this thing's going to be perfect. You know, this car is special. And I'll say that about all of them, but this one's is definitely special.
I think it's your turn, buddy. The finisher.
I appreciate it, man.
It's been months of metal work and body work just to get to this point. You know, when people see all the custom touches that are all throughout this car, they're going to know it's Earl Campbell's. You know, it's always a little bonus in the day when you get something major done, like just pulling the frame out, getting it cleaned up, getting it loaded, off the powder coat. It's just a huge accomplishment. You know, considering how Earl's car came into what it is now, finally feels like we're getting something done. Thank you. Well, this thing is going to be a cool car. Earl, where's the first place you're going to take this car?
In Austin, Texas, there's a little hamburger joint. Been there since the 40s. I hang out there. That's where the cars meet on Thursday night. So that's going to be my first appearance in this 49.
All right, man. You make me hungry.
I know. What's for lunch, burgers?
Earl, man, I'd really like to take you in the shop and show this thing to you at the stage it's at, but you've seen it in pieces enough. If
If you can bear with me, just wait just a little longer, I promise you, it's going to be extra special for you to see this thing totally finished.
I can't wait, Bill.
For the most part, Earl's just been leaving the design for the Caddy to us. But you know, Earl called me a couple days ago, said he had some ideas for the color accents for the interior.
I'm going to tell you, man, I can't wait to see it. But when I was coming through town, I bought you some UT that I like that interior to look like. This is the real UT orange, what I used to wear when I was in college. And now, I don't need a number 20 on the leather, but everything else I would love for the inside to look like that.
So you don't want just us to get material to match this color. You actually want to use the UT jersey.
UT jersey, that orange.
In the car.
In the car. I got to have that orange in it.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just some touches all throughout. When you're building a car for Earl Campbell, you really want those touches to stand out. And putting these jerseys in the interior, this is definitely the way to go. Everybody's going to know whose car it is.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a junior high football player getting promoted to the varsity on that level.
You know, we built a lot of cool cars and trucks around, but this is by far probably definitely my favorite one.
A 49 Caddy.
Yes, sir.
An orange interior. That's going to be great.
Man, we're going to make it happen.
You got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Shock me. Knock me out of my socks, but I'm ready.
All right. How's she looking?
It's looking real good. Considering, you know, where it's at now and where it started with, night and day. Repairing the rust on this thing, rebuilding the floor, you know, the drive shaft tunnel, transmission tunnel, building this car to the new chassis, to the new suspension, to the new engine, to the LSX under the hood, man, this is going to be cool.
Just the hours that are in this area, much less the rest of the car.
You know, there's definitely a lot of custom modifications to this thing, you know, especially the firewall, to really get this thing looking like a car. When Earl pops the hood on this thing,
man, he's going to be so impressed.
For the new LSX, we're making custom intakes and exhaust, and it's wheels, tires, and brakes. As soon as we get this thing painted, we're going to get it over to interior for custom door panels, seats, console, and headliner. The stereo that's going in this thing, all the little custom accents. You know what you give a guy that has everything? 49 custom Cadillacs, that's what you give them. You know, the only thing left to do is just paint it and then everything else. Let's start with just the paint.
Let's get in the booth.
Let's get it pushed in there. All right, man. You got this?
Got this.
You know, one of the things Earl wanted from the very beginning is black paint. And Chris is getting that thing going now.
We are going to make sure that we get enough paint on this car that any imperfections or whatever, we want them to be covered. We'll put as many coats as it takes to get this car as black as possible. I met Bill back when we were, in our teens. We were in a truck club here in Houston, and he started doing air suspension. He did some work on one of my trucks a long time ago. I think when I was 18. I did it for 15 years straight. It's fun to do. I enjoy it. I grew up watching Earl Campbell play football, and, you know, people are going to see this car, and whoever knows it and who don't know it, at least I'll know I painted it. I'll know I did a good job when I can tell that it looks like you can just dive into this paint job because the color is going to look so deep. Cadillac out of the booth, and now that it's painted and cleared, the next process is wet sanding and buffing. It has an orange peel texture, kind of leathery looking. That's why they call it orange peel. It looks like the peel of an orange. What we want to do is sand this down with our blocks of different sandpapers, get it slick as possible, and then we're going to come back and buff it to give it that nice mirror finish. The guys did such a good job on this firewall doing the bead rolling on it that I can't use this block on because it will burn the paint. When I say burn it, I mean sand through the paint. We have real problems if I do that. We'll block the flat areas with this block and sandpaper, and then we'll have to come back by hand and get around all the bead rolls with finer grit sandpaper. And I know where I can and can't go because, like I said, we do not want to burn this paint at this stage in the game. Okay, this is our last step in our wet sanding process. We've got 3,000 grit sandpaper on our DA sander. We'll run over this real quick and then we'll be ready to buff. And when we start buffing, that's what's going to bring out that mirror shine that we're looking for. You have to spend the time on it to make it as slick and smooth as possible, or when this thing's buffed, you'll be able to see every flaw that's in it. All right, we just completed wet sanding, buffing, and polishing part of our firewall here, which is the final step in a paint job. The only thing we got left now is to do the whole rest of the car.
Most of the guys working here have spent their whole lives in Houston. John, you know, is a lifer too. He just couldn't wait to get going on the interior. Because for guys like us, you know, Earl's just a local legend.
I'm getting ready to start the door panels and the interior on Earl's Caddy here. So what I've done is I've just laid out some templates on the doors and the panels all the way in. Here, I got me a pencil, good eraser. We'll just sit here and figure out what we're gonna make here and try to get everything incorporated in all at one time and get everything drawn out so we'll see the whole piece. We got the basic sketch down of where we're headed to, so now it's just a matter of how do we get UT in here. We don't want to make it overpowering. It needs to stay kind of subtle and just an accent in the car. So what we might do is put some sort of insert spot behind that. That might work. After looking at the placement of where I've got this armrest in relation to the seat, it's going to have to move up. So I'm really happy with the shape that I have of the armrest. So I'm going to transfer that onto another piece. This is how these things work. You just sit here and stare at them and think about it a little while and it'll come to you. It'll all make sense. And so I like to just sit here early in the morning, quietly, enjoy my coffee, and sketch. So all I gotta do is just lift it up and stick it to another piece of board. So just stick that down. I'll take an Ultimate, cut that out, and that'll give me my template to work with so I can put this wherever I want it at on here. So what I'm thinking here is armrest just needs to move up to about right there. That looks good. I like where we're headed with this.
Even though there was assembly lines back when Earl's 1949 Cadillac was made, you know, a lot of stuff was made by hand. There wasn't any robots. And we're taking the same approach from the metalwork to the interior.
You know, Earl showed up the other day, brought in some jerseys, wanted us to work these into the car somehow. So my thought here is to take and use those to create that Cadillac V and drop that in right here underneath these pillows. That'll look really cool. Just a nice pop of that burnt orange in the car without being too overwhelming. It'll turn out looking really cool. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out the rest of the seams on the seat. I'm going to start laying out the bolsters first. I got a template that I've already drawn out for that. Make sure I have everything lined up. I want the lines exactly where I want them. In the center, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out a 2-inch tuck and roll. It's just something that was used classically back in the hot rod days. It's basically they roll the leather over and you tuck it in with some foam and it actually makes these pillow tops. Just kind of keep it the old school feeling of the 49 Cadillac, and then we'll have that modern touch of this nice, hard, solid, shaped out pillow on the top here that still has that lean to the classic styles. All right. You know, everything in here has got a nice flow. We've still got that classic feel to it with the tuck and roll. I think this little pop of orange up here in the top for these V's is going to be, get them into the trim shop, and we'll get them covered.
Put the old school 1934 Buick Model 57 on hold because the owner wanted to figure out what kind of power plant he wanted to use. He ended up with the late Model 5.3, and now we're back at it.
Got it, huh? Got it.
This is perfect for this old Buick.
It always sucks to see a project get pulled off the lift, but I'm glad he made up his mind exactly what he wanted. Now we can move forward with the rest of the car.
I wasn't really feeling taking this thing apart. It was so pristine, you know, so original. You know, it was hard to cut into it, but we pulled out the stock straight 8 motor, ripping out the old suspension and start building fresh, you know, get the steering all mocked up. I mean, this thing's going to be a new car all underneath once we're done, you know, especially with the new 5.3.
They just had to have a new motor and transmission in it.
Exactly, man. Power, reliability. He'll never have to worry about this for sure.
I can't wait to see this thing come together. It's going to be a really, really nice old school.
The new old school.
The new old school.
Freezing cold out here today, and we're about to go drop the LS into the Buick.
The old school straight 8 is a lot wider than the straight 8. So once little one gets this thing in, we have to mock up a new steering configuration.
All right, just make sure that it doesn't hit the headlight or the paint.
Okay. Go ahead.
In?
Yeah.
This thing is pretty dirty, but when we're done with it, it's gonna look spotless.
Come in. Slowly, slowly. Watch the front bumper.
Yeah. All right, we clear?
Yeah.
Now, we get that angle under it, then we need one more in the front, and then we can go ahead and start moving it around. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now that we have the header mocked up and the engine fully on its own in the car, the steering has to be moved now too.
You know, the owner still wants to keep as much of that original interior as possible. So we're trying to keep the old steering column.
The key to work on these beautiful cars is you gotta do yoga at least once a week. Since I can't cut right outside on the firewall, we gotta take the ignition off, release the column, and pull it out without damaging this nice, beautiful interior. Beep, beep. That was easy, wasn't it? Got it out.
Cool, man. You know, keeping the old column just fit the whole original interior in this is definitely the way to go about it. There's a problem with that, though. We don't have any way to adapt the original column to the rack and pinion that we're going to put underneath there. So we have an end of an old column. I want to graft this on to the original one.
All right.
That way we can adapt all this right to the rack and pinion, and everything will work right.
Right.
You know where to cut.
Got it.
Quick, easy, right? No, this just goes to show you there's something that wasn't even thought of when we set out to do this little project. But, you know, that's just what we do. We deal with them, keep on rolling. Got that.
It's kind of like a Russian doll. Everything just goes in piece after piece after piece, and they're all gonna fit in perfect. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and make this custom 1934 2020 steering column. So this is not our finished product until it gets painted and fully installed, but now we're ready to mock up our rack and pinion. I gotta wash my hands because I do not want to get this interior. A while ago we were sticking all the way here, almost touching the header. Now we're right at the firewall, exactly where we measured, exactly where we wanted it to be. From here we can pivot around it and we can go straight into our rack and pinion that's gonna end up being up there in the front.
Rainy measuring tapes. So we got us a little situation here. Our rack is way up there in front, like almost a foot in front of the engine. And with our column coming out like right behind the cylinder head, we need to detour our steering shaft around the exhaust header and then go back straight to the rack. So we had to make us like a two-piece steering shaft with the center U-joint mounted on a heim joint. We got to get this thing as close as possible to the header without touching. That way it doesn't put this U-joint in so much of an angle, which is going to cause hard spots in your steering. We have 3 U-joints. There's nothing to hold it in the middle. We got to support it with this heim joint. And what this is going to do is hold this shaft in the center from moving around and hitting the headers into the chassis. That way it'll support this from moving around. We got everything in place. Now we're ready to give this a rotation. Check it out. Man, this steers pretty good. I don't feel any hard spots. I think we got this set up pretty good. Now we definitely know this car's gonna steer in the right direction.
Definitely not going to make a lot of new friends with the Buick crowd cutting into this original 34 Buick. But we're still doing what we can to give this thing the respect it deserves. I have Edgar color matching the engine to the cab, and Matt's adding a super clean serpentine setup.
So now we got our motor in here. We're gonna go ahead and start getting the front drive assembly on, the water pump, alternator, and everything that gets the motor running. So with this bracket here, it holds the water pump, the alternator, power steering pump. It allows everything to be more compact and gives us a lot more clearance, especially when a car like this, we barely have any clearance in the engine bay, so it tightens everything up and gives it a nice look. Now that we got our bracket on, we'll go ahead and mount our power steering pump up. We're still real tight on clearance, but it fits, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Now it's lean, mean, and ready to be seen. Got it.
Yes, man.
Definitely a big improvement from what was in it.
A lot more power and a lot more reliability.
And it kind of looks like it belongs.
Yeah, it just looks right at home in this thing. Man, Matt, it's all downhill now, huh?
Yes, sir.
You know, there's so much room on the backseat of this 49 Cadillac that John has plenty of space to come up with a couple of one-off speaker enclosures.
So what I'm gonna do to take up this space here is I'm gonna use it as a subwoofer enclosure. I'm gonna take my subwoofer, flip it upside down and down fire it into the pocket over here. Get a little back pressure loaded on the front of the subwoofer. It'll improve the sound a little bit. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'll start with the baffle of the box, and I can take that and I start building the walls of the box up and around and get the shape to it that I'm looking for. Figure out how we're gonna go about tying this whole big piece together. Let's start with the back wall that needs to be curved. Basically just cutting it every 1/4 inch, almost all the way through, and that'll allow it to bend and shape to the fender well just fine. So once I get my angle cut on it, I can go put it in the car and get it stuck. This enclosure is a little different than most of the enclosures that we build around here. It will actually become the interior trim panel of the car. We'll make a top piece that comes out, but it won't come out all the way. It'll stop shy over here with some shape in it, and we'll bring it all back into here to go down. And this will turn into your armrest area up here. So when you're sitting in the back seat, you're in an armrest here, and this will all sculpt down towards the seat. In order for this material to make the shape that I want, I've made these ribs, and we'll put them around in a couple of places, and that'll give us something to attach our material to and start fiberglassing. Just gonna take a piece of this flex form carpet here, push this down in here. It'll take the shape that we want. We'll get it stapled down. That should be perfect. Now that we got that worked out, next thing we'll do is take some fiberglass resin, start piling it on here, and wait for it to get dry enough to touch so we don't get it all over the car. And once it's to that point, we're gonna put it back in the car, continue building our panels around it, get everything tied in. When you're building your custom panels like this, you want to make sure that you keep everything in consideration, keep things nice and tight, so you have one nice cohesive flow through your entire panel.
Edgar painted the new LSX for Earl's 49 Cadillac, and of course, it's Texas Longhorn Orange. And we got our custom chassis back from Powder Coat. We're putting it all together with brand new air lines, brand new brake lines, all new stainless bolts, and of course, brand new billet wheels.
Starting to look like a car now.
Yeah, looks good with 4 wheels on it.
Man, now you can actually see how the contrast is coming together. The little pop of the motor color is going to tie into a little bit of interior color. It's going to make the whole car a complete package. And this car is fit for Earl Campbell.
Definitely. I hope he'll let me borrow it one day.
When you're getting the body ready to put on the frame, it makes for a really, really good day. Seeing the big pieces, man, it gets me excited. This is very quickly becoming out of caddy. Is about to be born today. I sure be liking that chassis. You should probably set it down on there, huh?
Yeah.
Looking good.
It looks real good.
You know, colors he was wearing when he won the Heisman Trophy. You gotta love this, right?
Right. Man, especially being his first custom car.
I'd be happy with this, my 100th custom car.
Made like a V.
Yeah, dude, it sure is. Just for this car.
With all the work we've done to Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac, there's still something missing. So I asked Justin to build a couple of custom downpipes.
Right here on Earl's Cadillac, we got the LSX 454 crate motor stabbed in there. This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque at 5,000 RPM, so this thing's going to be a tire shredder for sure. So we're going to go ahead and get our throttle bodies mounted up so we can start doing our charge pipes. We got these billet throttle bodies. They're twin 102 millimeter throttle bodies, so it's going to supply a lot of air to this big cubic inch motor. We have our aluminum mandrel bins. They're 3 new now. We can kind of see that there's a lot of room in the engine bay, so we get creative on this intake system. Well, since he went to UT and old Bevo over there, we're going to go ahead and do it where it looks like almost 2 horns in the center. 5 inches off of each horn. I marked 5 inches from the end of our tube so that both of our tubes match up, and I'm going to use the tape pretty much to connect the dots so that we have a good clean cut line to follow. Let's go cut some pipe. Basically, since this is a big 454 cubic inch engine, we need to make sure that we can supply it with enough air to make that power. So that's the reason we chose the 3.5 inch dual throttle body setup. And we're going to try to put the filter placement where we're pulling good, clean, fresh air right in the front of the vehicle. So I like the way that the intake has that X pattern, so we're going to try to emulate that with our intake tubes. It's looking like we can take this 180-degree bend, split it in half, use that 90-degree angle, and it should put our pitch right exactly where we're wanting it. So now that we have all of our tubes cut, you can kind of see the direction we were talking about in the beginning where we wanted our placement of our air filters. And now that we have it with the tape kind of securing the 2 tubes in place, we can get it pulled off and go weld it up. So on this tube here, I'm going to end up welding it clockwise, coming around this way. And on this tube here, I'm going to come counterclockwise. Just going to give it one of those little small details that most people wouldn't notice, but, you know, to the ones that do it, they'll appreciate it. So we're going to go test fit them on the caddy, see how they look. If everything looks good, we can go ahead and pull them off and polish them. So now that we got everything wrapped up, everything's installed, see everything fits like we want it, I think Earl will be real happy with this when he sees it.
After a lot of hard work and some tough decisions, this 1934 Buick's finally done. You know, I was really reluctant about cutting out all the old factory suspension, but once we got into it, that's what we do.
Bill called me and said the car was ready to come and look at it, so, you know, I invited the guys, the Silveranos Car Clubs of Houston. All my friends are here, their cars are here. We're all excited to look at the Buick.
What's going on, man?
See you, man.
Javier, how you doing, man? Good to see you. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's up?
You got the whole crew out, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You know, after looking at your whole crew's cars, I can definitely see why you wanted to do what you wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, man. I got to keep up with them, so.
Yeah. Your Buick now, it'd definitely fit in with the crowd for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. Hey, good deal, man. Man, she looks pretty. Damn, oh, my God. Good deal, man. Awesome. All right, man. Good job, man. How you doing, man?
Man, what you think about that thing?
Man, it looks good. Beautiful. I love the way it looks, the stance, the wheels.
You know, first things first, we got this thing on the lift and just started fresh with a new rear end, built independent front suspension for it with all air all the way around. That thing's going to ride good, handle good, and be reliable for sure.
Now you know why I asked you to do what I wanted to do, right?
You know, Javier, I got to admit, once this thing's down on the ground like that, man, it changes the whole look.
Yeah.
Definitely made the right decision for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing you wanted was the reliability and some power under the hood, right?
Right.
Let's check out under the hood.
Oh, man, that looks good. How'd you fit that thing in there?
Started out ripping that old engine and trans out and just getting a pull-out 5.3, stripping it all down, really dressed it up, make it look good. So when you pop the hood, you got something to be proud of.
Man, wonderful.
It was tough, but definitely worth it. We had to do a vintage air frame that's such a narrow frame in it. We had to custom make all the steering to get around the headers, and everything had to be one off, especially because of the fitment.
The old engine looked like an antique. This is state of the art. This car went from being real cool to real gangster.
You probably got 10 times the power that this thing came with. We'll see if you can keep some tread on these old cokers here.
All right, can't wait.
Taking a late model engine, sticking in such an antique car, you think it'd probably stick out. But all the work we put into this engine, making it look the way it does, it's like it was made for this car. What do you guys think, man? You gonna let this guy cruise around with you?
Yeah. I'm so happy now that I can just get in this car, start it up, and show it off. Thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right.
You know, sometimes in this business, you really got to lean on your guys. You know, on the Caddy, we really had to lean on John. You know, he's really coming through. Every little detail he's adding is 100.
We'll get started on the rear deck for the 49 Caddy. We're going to start by cutting out our base out of MDF. We'll take that over to the car, get that in place, and start building it up from there. The back deck has a curve in it, so we'll make two pieces. I'm going to take some fiberall here and mix it up and use that to actually put these two pieces, especially with it being up here in the rear deck of the car. You know, it takes a lot of heat up here. We want something that's really going to be able to stand up and not give us any issues. This will be the riser that'll come up from the rear deck that helps tie it into the back of the seats. All right, we got this thing all dried up, positioned, ready to go. So I'm gonna pop this thing out, take it across the way, put it on the table, and we'll finish it out there.
You know, Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac is just one of those builds where we're just making as many parts as we can by hand. Ryan's finishing up the custom exhaust on one side. Now he's mirror imaging it to the other.
The first side is always the easiest. Mirroring it is the hardest part about it. It's just a lot of marking, fine-tuning, a bunch of small cuts until you get that final exact perfect fit that we're looking for. And you know, it's easier to cut a little bit at a time than cut a whole bunch and then have to either add or go find another piece and start all over again. Well, the reason I'm putting the V-band here is because the muffler and all that, all the way to the header is all one piece right now and one full piece. Houston, 40 degrees in the morning, 80 degrees at lunchtime. At this point, the exhaust is the most complex of it all because of this bin that I got right here and then just what I have to work with and just the limited amount of space. So trying to make this work and flow and not cause any restriction and also clear everything is pretty tricky, but hopefully I can get exactly what I'm looking for out of this and make it go all the way and jump out the back instead of stopping right here. Alright, so I didn't let it beat me. We were able to make it come all the way out to the back. That's gonna look tight from the back. Whenever you're driving behind it, see that? That's gonna look dope. So now all we got left to do is just make some hangers, drill some O2 bungs, weld it all up, and throw it back in the car. I think if Earl ever gets to take a look underneath this car, he should be very happy. I know I am.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Bill?
On this build, there was a lot of parts had to get chromed, but that grill, you know, that grill's something special. We had to make sure this thing shined. You got something for me?
Oh, yeah, I got something for you, buddy. I got your grill.
Man, that thing looks good, Victor.
It's a 1940.
Dip this thing in chrome, but...
Yeah, I mean, they say, well, you do it in 30 minutes. Nah.
You had to take the whole thing apart, huh?
The whole thing apart. Yeah. At least 5 pieces right here. They're made of stainless steel. So you got to be careful with them, you know, when you polish them and chrome plate them.
Yeah, and it's not just this either. Of course, you got such a good reflection. You look down here, you see everything up here. Yeah, so everything back here has to look just as good.
Like that.
Because this thing's pretty much a mirror now.
Yeah.
Victor, you sure this is the same one?
The same one, buddy.
This thing looks brand new. I think it's better new.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
Man, I appreciate it, Victor.
It's all yours, buddy. Just be careful now.
Right?
Yeah.
been done to this 49 Cadillac, but there's still a ton more to go. You know, John's got his work cut out for him, building custom speaker pods, cup holders, and pockets. Man, these door panels are gonna be cool.
So now that I got the speaker pod and cup holder pocket all ground out in shape, the next component that I need to finish for the door panel is the armrest. So I'll just take my template here, just gonna trace it out. I'll come in and rough cut it, and we'll route it. All right, got them all cut out. Next step to do, sand them down, glue them up, and then stack them. You just kind of come up with ideas in your head and then think of ways to execute your ideas. You know, the stacking method here is basically just to get a big chunk to carve out of, as you would any other sculpture, really. So the next thing you're gonna do is gotta put the hand pull in this thing. I've got a template here, so I'll have it for both sides. Trace it out. All of this in here is gonna get carved out, so we have some place to put fingers, grab a hold of it, and close it. You know, Earl came in the other day, he had a challenge. He really wants to get this UT burnt orange color in the car. We're gonna take this, cut it up, and wrap a few pieces. That will work. This is where all that body working and sanding really starts to pay off. You can actually start to see what you've made, see the final product. Everything starts to come together. You can see all your lines, your details, and if you don't put all that time and effort into it, when you get to this point, it'll start to show too. All right, well, that's a wrap. Only thing left to do now is get it on the car and get the speakers in it, and get everything buttoned up, and this thing will be ready to roll.
I love working on Cadillacs because that's just the car of the industry.
It's one of those cool cars that was always fun because they were the luxury of the time.
Cadillac rolls in here.
We're all fighting to work on it.
I hope I get to work on it.
John knows with that Cadillac, he can put 15 speakers in the trunk. You know you can make it as low as you want and make it go as fast as you want.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be the porter and drive around the parking lot. I mean, that's what I want to do. Of course, we did the 59 for Slim. We cut the roof off and made it a roadster.
Night and day difference in that
just
car.
doing the windshield wrap around on that car.
Yeah, stretching the back out, moving the seats that far back to make room for
That's
him.
one thing Cadillacs always had, is plenty of room.
Nothing said America like Cadillac.
As American as,
you know, apple pie. They'll keep making them. We'll keep customizing them. People keep eating them.
You know, I can remember being young and my dad watching Earl Campbell just killing people every week. He just rooted for him, you know, every time he played. You know, when people hear now that we're building a car for Earl Campbell, you hear all the stories of how good a player he was and just how he dominated everybody on the field. You know, every step of the way on this 49 Cadillac, you know, Earl's been an inspiration to us. You know, the consistency, you know, that's what we were going for in building this Cadillac. You know, so today it's an honor to give Earl his car back. The 49 Cadillac is something I'm very proud of, and every guy in the shop is proud of. I'm kind of jealous, man. This is a cool car.
Hey, Tim, you can't tell me anything about this car, man.
Man, I don't want to tell you anything. I want to keep it a surprise for you till Bill gets here. One thing I will tell you is it's all in one piece now. All them buckets it showed up in and records that it showed up on, it's in a whole lot better shape than what it was.
Earl came all the way from Austin to Houston just to see this car we built for him. You know, the last time you seen it, it was in thousands of pieces. I can't wait to show it to him now.
How you doing, Bill?
Man, what's going on?
I'm here to see that bad boy, man, Caddy. Oh, yeah, man.
Man, you saved me just in time. You've been picking my brains wanting to see this thing.
What do you think, Earl? I know you've been waiting a while. You ready to see this thing?
I'm ready. I can't wait, Bill.
Man, Timmy, let's do it.
Here she comes.
It was fun building this. This is something we're all super proud of for sure.
Come on, man, hurry up. Let's get this car uncovered. Look at that. Whoa, man, that is great.
What you think, Earl?
Golly, Bill, when this car first got here, that paint job, that black. Man, that bumper, that's a hell of a lot of chrome.
There's plenty of black and plenty of chrome on this thing.
Oh, man, that's great.
Man, Earl, you know, it's a huge challenge to make, you know, parts in the parking lot into a car looking like this. You know, we first started off getting this thing on the lift, doing rust repair. You know, getting a car this old, this straight, and the gaps right on this, the body guys, that's showing their skills right there. A 49 Cadillac don't come like that. You make it like that.
Yeah, especially when the panels come in the back of a truck all thrown together, just thrown in that truck.
Come on, man. You guys don't let me forget that, huh?
You know, especially black. You know, looking down the side of this thing is laser straight.
Man, that is beautiful.
You know, building a chassis on this thing, Earl, motor mounts, new rear end, new front suspension, air suspension, so this thing lays real low to the ground too. Every nut, bolt, everything is 100% brand new. You have a brand new 49 Cadillac.
Just to see it all put together, I was amazed. I mean, the chrome on it, the lovely lady on the front. I mean, I just can go on. I just couldn't believe it.
Earl, you had a couple stipulations. You wanted this car to be some power under the hood.
That's right.
We got something for you under there.
Let's see. Good nurse.
Earl, you said you wanted some power under the hood in this thing. The 454 LSX is the one for it.
And burnt orange.
Yep.
That's great, man.
Building all new firewall in this thing, all new sheet metal molded onto the fenders, new core support. John came in and just bead-roll you a nice, cool panels in there. You know, it's got the little Cadillac V recessed down in it.
On the wall, man. It's unbelievable.
You know, Earl, when Justin was making the air intakes of this, he took a design cue from, you know, UT mascot Bevo, kind of replicated the Longhorn on the
Yes, you can kind of see this at the entrance.
Right?
One of your honors in life was the Hall of Fame, so we wanted to make you a medallion here to hold the two pipes together. John machined us a deal. This is 1991 Hall of Fame with a little football on it.
You know, there's no mistaking whose car this is.
That's right.
Let's check out the interior of this thing.
Wow.
Man, last time you seen this thing, there was just piles and piles and piles of parts for the interior on this thing, right?
Yes, man. It's got the burnt orange on the door.
Man, we know you had to have that UT orange. We sewn them into the interior itself. All this is handmade by old John Burgess himself.
Yes, he did a great job.
You know, it's got you a little something special back there in the rear deck as well.
Yes.
You get the little Longhorns incorporated in the back, all the way up into the Dakota Digital gauges.
Now, there's some special numbers in your life of what you've been through. So, 20, you were a Heisman at UT.
That's right.
34, you were a Houston Oiler, and then 91, you went to Hall of Fame.
That's right. There's no doubt everything in this car says Earl Campbell. I mean, they went out of their way and beyond. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. Oh, man. Yeah, breathe. That's down in the dirt.
That just changes the whole attitude, right?
Yes, sir. When you see that 49 Caddy sitting up, that's one thing. But when you see it go down all the way in the grass, that's bad. You got a 49 after that.
I try to make this thing as comfortable and as cool for you as possible. It's got 24x9s in the front and 22x12s in the rear.
I never seen a rim like that before. That's the one of a kind. I love it. What a beautiful car.
I like your car, man.
I'm really happy it's mine. I'm happy it's mine. Thank y'all very much for what y'all done. You and your team should be very proud.
The whole process from start to finish, you know, it took some time. It was a labor of love for every guy. I can't thank my guys enough. And this is just one more example of us just crazy high. It's going to command attention.
A work truck bed on top of a big lift like this.
Wait till you see all the speakers that's going to go in that bed. This thing is going to be loud. It's always cool to work on your own project. There's no limitations. It's on you. Come on out with it. This is going to be the king around here.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
You know, back in 2011, we took a Suburban, cut that thing in half, and made it a two-door Tahoe. You know, back when this was built, this was a shocker for the world. 8 years later, you can still take this thing to just a prime example of something I wanted myself to have a business card for Extensive and really set its mark in the custom world. You know, every year I try to top myself to really build something really cool over the top, and we're definitely not done doing that.
Ooh. Pulling out of retirement?
Got a guy won this thing, so we're gonna meet him at a local little car show up in Tyler, where I'm gonna hand over the keys, man.
Wait, like it's leaving?
It's leaving.
Oh, man.
It's still going to continue to go to car shows. It'll just be kind of like a foster home for it.
Okay, cool.
Time to move on, right?
Yeah.
It's time for something new. You know, it's time for this to go. We're going to load it up, take it to a local car show. This turbine is going to start its new life with its new owner. I hate selling this thing, but it's going to fund the new over-the-top project. Turkey Drag Car Show, you know, it's always good to get out of the shop, come see what's going on, see some cool cars. Today's kind of bittersweet though. Part of the family's leaving, but you know, it's always nice to get that little check also. Man,
all right.
You made it?
Yes, sir.
What do you think, finally getting to see this thing in person?
I've been looking for this truck for 8 years.
Yeah.
It's amazing. This truck is super cool, man. Something like nobody else has. That's exactly what I want. One day, a friend of mine, he called me, he says, hey, they got it for sale. So I made the call, we pulled the trigger, and we're here.
What's your favorite thing about this?
I like the way you did it. When we shorten it, make it 2-door. That's the only one on the earth. I gotta have it, bro.
It's really cool. Antonio's been following this car, you know, for 8.5 years, and he's finally seeing it in person.
Oh, man. That's what I'm talking about, man.
You know, it's the factory 5.3 in this thing, but it's just all cleaned up. It doesn't look like that factory engine anymore, right?
No, it don't look like it no more, man. You can see from every angle, you can see everything, something different.
If you like this, you're definitely going to like the interior.
I think it's crazy, man. You got speakers everywhere, man.
3 big 12s in the back. You see the big hole in the roof. That's out of a Cadillac SRX. You can't buy one that big. Cut that out of another roof and then graft it into this one.
I think it's my right size, man. Yeah.
You know, when Antonio's sat in this seat, I can tell he's been wanting to do that for a long time.
Man, look at that. Man,
it's got a ton of power back here, right?
Man, I would like to
put home and somebody that really appreciates this. Enjoy it, man. Need something, holler. Looking at this thing for the last time, we've done a good job on it. I can't thank all my guys enough for all the late nights and hard work, because as you can see in the car show here, it's still holding its weight. You know, I've gone to shows East Coast to West Coast, almost every state. You see a bunch of lower trucks, lifted trucks, people trying to creep up on us, you know, we can't be having that. That just makes me want to build just something over the top, just lifted super high. If you're gonna build a lifted truck, you want something totally different that nobody's seen before. This is the truck to get. I've got a 2020 Chevrolet medium duty that is just gonna be insane. The medium duty trucks are in between a 1-ton and an 18-wheeler, so just putting it way up in the air is definitely something you don't see ever. It's gonna command attention no matter where it goes. This is gonna be the king around here. Is the truck brand new? Yes. Are we gonna pull it in the shop and tear it totally apart and start over? Absolutely. Tire company's gotta love you.
What is this, test drive or what?
Well, yeah, test drove it. It's my new project. Oh, Lord. You always got to have it bigger, fatter, right? Just the natural progression. Taking a medium duty, putting our spin on it, our style to it, it's just going to put us over the top again.
I'm scared to see what you're going to come up with next after this one's that high. But I got you a bay open. Let's go ahead and pull it in there and we'll get it racked up. So you got me a spot. Got you a spot. Let's do it.
You know, always before starting a project like this, you always get a little anxious. Just, you can't really wait to get started working on this. I mean, it's still, a passion for all of us. It's the anticipation of getting the thing done, getting it out of the road, and just having a good time with it. It doesn't get any better than that. Most of the time you start to create the canvas and then add to that also. So the finished product is just going to be something that's going to blow everybody away. I love being able to prove myself, to prove my team to everybody. Building a lifted truck, that's fun for me. But building a super huge dually truck that's going to end up being, over 12,000 pounds when we're done, super high off the ground, that's just something I got to have in my life. What you think about this, James?
Man, that's brand new. I ain't seen one of these yet.
Right? Man, I got some big plans for this. First things first, we're going to get this thing up on the lift, and then we're just going to build a crazy drop-down air suspension with the big shocks. Huge 4-link on this thing with the big 1-inch Heims, super thick DOM. I mean, this thing's going to be bulletproof. And I got to have some big wheels and tires on this thing. Definitely. I want to keep that dually in the back, too. Raising this thing up, we're not shooting for a specific amount of inches. I want this thing way off the ground. We're just going to lift this thing till it looks right. When it looks right, we'll go a little bit higher. Because this thing's going to be crazy high. Look at the steps on this. This definitely isn't going to cut it. So we're going to build some custom run, crawl up in this big old thing. And as far as the bed, I want to do like a utility style bed with the toolboxes and all that.
A work truck bed on top of a big lift like this with the air suspension.
Yeah, you don't ever see anything like that.
I've never seen nothing like that.
Wait till you see all the speakers and all the stereo that's going to go in that bed.
Oh, man.
We got to have it loud. It's got to be loud. They go by, you're like, man, what? Why? I want that feel of industrialism. Right. You know what I mean?
This front end's a little bit too shiny for you.
Man, we got to get rid of all that. Spray it all black, get rid of the chrome, make this thing cool. We're going to have to step it up in the interior, too. Yeah. Leather inside, suede headliner. And this thing doesn't even come with carpet. Of course, we're going to put that in it, too. We're going to make the inside just plush as can be.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
If you can't wait, let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
This thing is almost 6 tons stock. Because this thing is so big, we're going to take a few extra precautions. And Jamie's going to weld some extensions directly to the lift so we can pick this thing up safely.
Oh, that's nice. This truck was barely stocked for maybe a couple days, and it's already up on the lift. All right, so go ahead and separate the axles from the leaf springs. Go ahead and lift up the frame, then go ahead and pull the leaf springs.
We're going to be taking this thing to car shows all over, but it's not just about the trophy. This thing is going to be able to get to work too. So Rudy's going to start burning the hangers and brackets with all 5/16 plate.
Being that this is typically just used for work and never lifted, we had to build some extra heavy-duty hangers to support the whole weight of this work truck. If these things aren't strong enough, then our whole 4-link system will just collapse and be worthless.
The next step we're doing this huge lift, huge super heavy lift, is building the 4-link brackets on the rear end. Rudy cut some 5/16 plate. This allows the 4-link to mount from the truck to the rear end and everything pivot. I mean, this is where all the stopping, starting, pulling power is all transferred into these pivot points here. Especially as high as this thing's going to be, all the weight is compounded. So this thing has to be really, really strong. This is a major point of the whole suspension. When you're lifting a big Silverado 5500 over a foot in the air, the 4-link has to be not only super strong and support all the weight that's going to be way up in the air. It's got to look cool too.
You know, one of the things that makes this thing super strong is the 1-inch FK Heims are really, really strong. So I'm going to use that in conjunction to some really thick DOM, and that's going to make it so we never have to worry about that whatsoever.
Hold the money! Alright, got my Heims bolted up. All exactly the same, so we're going to go ahead and bolt this up to the truck and continue with our 4-link. Now we got our 4-link bolted up. These things look beefy. So we can go ahead and start setting up our diagonal link. A diagonal link in a wishbone is always going to keep your rear end completely centered through all of its range of travel. This sucker right here is going to make sure that the whole rear end is nice and straight as it travels up and down. I only wish I could say the same thing about my back right now.
This thing comes with power steering, but to save a little space, we're going to convert everything into all hydraulic steering.
So this big steering gearbox is going to have to go. We're going to get rid of this one and install a new hydraulic steering system. Alright, so you can see our old gearbox is a whole lot bigger than our new one. In this case, looks can be deceiving. This small little guy here is going to do just as much as our big one here. This right here is basically our servo. All it does is transfer all the hydraulic fluid down to our hydraulic pump, which is going to be placed on the axle somewhere. Went ahead and made a brand new mount for our hood strut. That way we don't lose the support for our hood. Alright, we got our servo bolted up, linked up to our steering shaft. Everything looks good. And then the fun part, figuring out where that goes.
What we're doing now is mounting the hydraulic cylinder to the axle. We got a rolled piece of pipe that we had laying around the shop, so we're going to make 3 separate pipes to hold the hydraulic cylinder for the steering to mount it right to the axle. I mean, we could use a straight piece of pipe, but it looked way cooler to have a little style to it and use the rolled pipe and be super strong also. The cylinder where we want, we got the roll tubing connecting the axle to the mount. It looks good. It's super strong and stylish for sure.
Alright, now that we got our hydraulic cylinder mounted and welded up, we're going to go ahead and make 2 rods, one for each side, to connect from the cylinder to our spindle. That way when our cylinder starts pushing those rods out left and right, our truck will go left or right. So just to make sure that our new tie rod ends are exactly the same, we're going to go ahead and jig up the first one I just welded up. That way my second one will bolt up just exactly like the first one. We got our first new tie rod made. Go ahead and duplicate it and make another one. Tie rods are in, as you can see. As our cylinder pushes in and out, it's going to steer our truck left and right.
We're going to start building the air suspension, and straight pipe is never a good idea. We want something with a little style. So Max is about to get out and get to it of rolling a lot of pipe and tubing for my truck to build the bag mounts, shock mounts, and just make it look cool. We're going to do things a little different this time. Instead of putting the lower bag mounts in place and then building down to the axle, I think what we'll do is take the lower bag mount off, build it on the table.
That one I'll have to keep crawling under here and throwing my back out every time I get in here.
Right. I got that. We can just simulate the axle with a piece of pipe on the table and build our pipe all to that. So we're going to make all of our pieces fit in a little square here.
You got it?
I know you do.
Thing here is just trying to make everything look symmetrical. It's kind of different not doing it on the truck, but our simulated axle, everything's going to fit right on there like if it was on the truck, and It's gonna save my back and my knees and lots of time. All right, we got all these welded up. Now we go slap these on the truck.
Heck yeah, Rudy. That's gonna work good. Let's get the other side on, and then we'll put our straight edge across here and clamp it. And that'll, instead of trying to spend the time to level everything, you know it's 100% perfect. Weld that sucker out, and then we'll move to the uppers.
Hey, that's a great idea.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
That is what we like to call rap. Man, these are some big old shocks. These shocks are gonna be able to hold up all the hard work this truck's gonna go through.
We got both sides punched. Got our shock mount in the right spot. I'm just gonna drill it. Drill that side. Everything's gonna be 100% true. So the truck goes perfectly leveled when you're going down the road.
I don't know if you noticed it. There's a sign over there. Do not drill or weld frame.
What do you think, Rudy? This big old shock looks perfect proportion to this big old truck, right?
Doesn't even look that big when it's on the truck.
Right? That's it, man. This is the last little bit of the suspension. This thing's ready to get blown apart and get coated.
Shoot, well, let's do it.
You know, it's always good to be this part of the process, you know, having all the fabrication done, all the figuring out is done. You know, all the mental anguish is over. Every part of the process from now on is just improvements. You know, it's about to be the payoff for all the hard work. For the Chevy Silverado 5500. This thing is cool, but this is just a starting platform for what I'm thinking. You know, it's always cool to be able to work on your own project. There's no limitations. There's nobody telling you, you know, what to do, what they want. There's no restrictions whatsoever. Whatever you can think of, whatever you can dream of, it's on you.
Yeah, but this much more. Just forward.
That's what the shop's all about, is building cool cars, and especially one that stands out from all the rest of the builds, all the rest of the cars around. You want to make something that just has your personality built in with it. Man, I love this point of the build. Just start to see all the big pieces come together. You know, it makes for a really good day, especially something like this. To see a service bed like this with a truck like this is going to be real cool, especially when it's real high up in the air. Getting excited. You know, the more I look at this thing together, the wheels are turning, getting a few more ideas to really top this thing off. Definitely got to get rid of this.
He just can't leave well enough alone, can he?
Man, this is the point. This isn't well enough. I just love this truck, how everything's looking, but you know, the trailer lights in this thing just kill it. So what I did, man, I had this little plate lasered out for the triple stack, the ABS LEDs. So I'll just cut this thing out, weld this right in. No more trailer lights. Man, I love the style of this bed. You know, I love the work truck feel of this truck, but it's got to have something all the other ones. So the way the new bumper is going to look with the lines on the running board and they carry on to the lines around the bed, the triple stack lights are just really going to go with the whole overall feel of this truck.
Looks like you're adding some TVs to the back of your truck.
I would have 10 years ago. We have them all over the place. You know, Tim's grinding down the light panel we made. He's giving it a little bit of bevel all the way around it. So when we weld the light panel into the bed, I'll bevel this a little also. You know, we'll grind this thing down nice and flush. You know, no powder coat left on it, so you want it metal to metal. Nice weld, nice grind, and very little body filler. And this thing's gonna look super smooth.
These lights are going to go in from the back side. This is the bucket that holds the LEDs. So to make a stud on here to hold these buckets, I'm going to drill it all the way through. Then I'll take a bolt and cut the head off. And this side, where the hole is, we'll tack it. Once we do that, it'll hold the bucket tight, hold it against here, it'll be bright, and it'll be better for the weather.
Let's do this, Timmy. You know, the key to doing this type of metal work is making it totally flush. So a little trick is rubbing your fingernail back and forth. That way you know for sure that one isn't sticking up higher than the other. Just ensures for a nice, even, smooth weld and grind. We got our lifted suspension back from powder coat, and I'm really happy we went with gold.
I don't know, it came out pretty good.
It looks good. It looks like something you go buy at the store, right?
Yeah.
So let's start getting all the suspension components bolted up underneath there, you know, the hangers, the bag mounts and everything. And then we'll put the axles in so we're not working around all that. Hold on. Where are you at?
I need to come over. Right here.
Okay, look. Let it touch the frame a minute. I ain't enough.
Gotta open more.
That's 33 3/4. This is 34 1/4 now. Got a long way to go. So what we're doing is overspreading this so we can install it and not scratch our frame up. Like the welding process, the heat makes everything distort a little bit, move and wander around. So we're overspreading it, putting up in place so we can put the bolts in. It's going to cinch it all up super tight. We're good to go. See, just little tricks like that make all the difference in the world.
Nice and tight, looking right.
We're going to try to pull this up with straps from the truck itself and try to cause as minimum damage as we can.
You know, when you're building these things, people think this is decorative, but really it's not. Each pipe displaces the weight on the bag mount. If you had one, it'd try to teeter-totter. Two would rock the other way. Four makes it solid. So the more you can get, just the better, the beefier it's gonna hold up. And this being a 1.5 ton, you're gonna need all the bag mount, all the support you can get. Now you can see this just completes the whole big, massive, heavy look of the truck we're going for. Just in your face, massive.
Speaker there, another small speaker there.
Lifting a brand new Silverado 5500 is definitely going to turn heads. But I also want to make this thing really loud. So John's going to customize the headache rack with a pair of handmade speaker pods, just like you'd see on a wakeboard boat.
We're going to use these speakers as a chipboard and arrange it up here and see how it looks the best. And once it looks good, we'll make it out of metal. I think we'll put a couple bends in it. Give it some character. We'll cut this faceplate out, and then we're gonna end up connecting this to the headache rack with a bunch of little pieces to give it that wakeboard style setup. We'll get this template off of here, go trace it on some metal, and cut it out. Doing custom work like this is always fun. I'm so used to doing, you know, suspension work and metal work, but when it comes to doing metal work outside the box, it's always fun to do something different. Now I got the outside shape cut out. What I'm gonna do is mark 1.25 inches all the way around, and I'm gonna cut that out, and it's gonna leave me 1.25 inch flange to go mount up on the headache rack. And I did a radius here where the speaker's gonna be at. Change it up a little bit. Now all these straight lines were easy because I just, you know, run a torch along a straight edge. It's all about finding a right spot to hold this torch and just pivot it around. Keep it steady. Stumble a little bit, the torch is gonna move, and I'm gonna mess this piece up. I'm gonna start all over. That's how you get it done. I'm gonna draw me some lines where I know to set this up in the metal brake and give it a little break here and there to give it that crazy shape that we're looking for. Now we got a little personality to this. The only thing I gotta do is do the exact same thing to the other piece. We're gonna get to cutting. We're gonna remove all of this out of there. We don't need it. It's gonna give us a much cleaner look without it. I'm free. No more locked doors. Now it's time to clean this up. Take some of this paint off so we can tack our new pieces on. That way we can get these cool tower speakers built on this headache rack. We got everything grinded and sanded down nice and clean. Now we can see what we got to work with. What I'm going to do now is tack me a couple pieces from here to the headache rack. And then we're going to start building our plates off of that. Now I got the frames all on there. Now it's time to fit the speakers inside the frame to see how they fit all in there. This is looking really cool. Imagine this going down the road, music blaring.
The new wheels are 28 by 8 1/4, and our new tires are 42 by 15 50s. You know, they're way too big for our tire machine. So Tim's gonna take them somewhere that'll handle the job.
Should be 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, we definitely got our work cut out for us, man.
It's on there. Phase 1. We're going to let this beautiful machine here and that robo arm kind of push down on these sidewalls so we can get underneath there and make sure that thing fits for you.
Usually the shop, if we have something big like this, we gotta grab some big pro bars and do it on the ground. Like butter. See if we can get some air in this bad boy and get it rolling.
So because we work on everyday cars, this actually has a regulator on there to keep my guys safe. Because this is a 1550 on a 28 8 1/4 wheel, we're gonna hook up a direct line of just straight on air. There it goes. That's good. Perfect. Done.
Woo. Man, I was just joking about 10 or 15 minutes, but y'all made that look super easy.
You got it, good.
What's up, man?
That's looking good, man.
Yeah, once that grill's in there, man, it's gonna look really good.
We definitely want to take our time to make it right. You know, get the angles right. You want to look at it wherever you're at it. You want it to look cool.
Coolness from every angle.
Right. Finishing the sides in, boxing it in is going to be pretty critical on something like this.
Mm-hmm.
I got the chipboard, got the tape. Start making it.
Hell yeah.
The puzzle has begun.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you just never know where this is gonna take you, right? It's a work bed, but you still want it to look cool. You want it different, right? You don't want it to be like the same one going down the street.
Yeah. If I was to see this thing going down the road, I'd be like, man, I want one of those.
Right. So it's a great start right here. You're creating the coolness factor as we go. So you want to really get back once you get a couple steps in. We'll get back and really look, see how that's flowing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about custom, right? Is making it your own, making it cool, making somebody go, man, that's cool. Yeah. That's what we do this for. It's got a little flatness right here. Let's get a back piece on here. See if we can change it up a little bit. Yeah, man, that looks good. Yeah.
Bill got a good start on laying this out for me, so I know exactly what he wants. Now I could go and take his template, trace this on some metal, get to cutting and breaking it. I'm gonna start breaking on here, and then I'm gonna break this line, and I'll do the two ends last. And by doing this, we'll get one nice clean piece with a few breaks in it instead of a bunch of welding going on, which will tend to cause warping. Now we got the outside cap. I'm gonna start building this inside piece for the bottom. I'm getting all my measurements off of what we already built here and transferring them over to this piece of sheet metal that's gonna fit these contours here. I'm gonna take it over to the brake, bend it. And it's just so much better trying to do this as one piece of metal than having so much work on the body guys. They could give me a pat on the back when I'm done. I'm gonna tack this up here, front and back, and then trim off all the excess. Now we got the bottom panel in, we can continue over the top, connect the two. Because the issue I'm having is the speaker mount is higher than the rest. And I'll go back and mold this in with some more material and make it look like it's supposed to be like that. And it is supposed to be like that. Shh, don't tell nobody. Get that all molded up and make it look good. This is one of those things that had to be done for clearance issues, but at the same time of just notching it out, we could also make it look cool.
Man, John, this thing looks so good. That's something you definitely don't see every day, right?
Right, definitely.
This thing is going to be loud. Having built a few lifted trucks in our day, you know, you got to think about how you're going to climb up in it. So we made some brand new running boards for our Chevy 5500. We got the truck over on the 4-post lift. It's way easier to work on this thing, you know, perfect height, just the height you're working at, and no post in the way. What we did is take off the factory steps, and they're going to replace it with a piece of sheet metal that we had in our spot for our toolboxes. Cleans it up a lot, huh? Hides all that. And gives it a little style too. Way better. Now it looks complete. Let's give it a quick little rough cut. You know, anytime you're doing something like this where, you know, you get one shot at it, you know, it's a little bit of work taking this thing on and off, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, but, you know, it's a lot more work to go back and have to recreate something you already cut off too much of. Looks like a factory part. I guess the next step is cutting the holes out, and we'll get these boxes in. Man, I kind of like it right there. Little cut lines. Man, that looks way better, huh? No more flatness. Gives us some depth, and it's useful. Take some measurements here. You know, the speaker pods are done, but we're not finished with the audio. I want to fill some of the built-in boxes in the bed with speakers and amps. And John's over in the interior shop making some amp racks right now. We got 9 amplifiers total going in this thing. This thing's going to be a monster. Get the Brad. When we have the other set of amplifiers stacked over here, we'll be able to just travel up and down through here with our wires and get this thing drawn out and make a pretty cool looking little amp rack. And we'll get all those cut out. We'll have amplifier here. Bam, bam, bam. Next thing I'm gonna do, cut out some 1/4-inch strips, get them stapled on. We'll go over the router, flush trim all this out. So next step I got is take my template that I made, transfer it over onto the aluminum so I can go rough cut it out. By far the worst part of working with aluminum is having to rough cut it because you have to do it by hand. All you can do is just get after it and cut it and settle in for a long journey because it's not easy. Alright, we just take our double-sided stick tape here, lay it up, get it stuck to this aluminum. Basically what we've got here is some dish soap. I like to use this stuff here for a lubricant for cutting aluminum. If you mess up cutting it, there's no fixing it. You just throw it away and start all over, and that's never fun for anybody. I've watched guys lose their jobs over scrapping parts. Not something I want to do. All right, pull these apart. All right, clean this off. Go over to Jesse, get him to...
Bill can't leave well enough alone. He'd have to go get 2 speakers out of the shop. So I brought him a box. He said, no, 2 boxes. So he's going to pull more speakers to the front. So the back's going to be loud, and now the front's going to be loud. My brand new Silverado medium duty is almost done. We're going to add a winch and a place for even more speakers. Man, this is exactly what this thing has to have. Some kind of forward projection. So the 6.5-inch wake tower speakers are just perfect. Really hope people like Bill's music. You're going to be listening to exactly what he's listening to.
After all the work we did to the bed, it's time to get it over to body and paint so we can color match everything all black.
Welcome in, guys. Welcome in.
Now the only thing left is putting all the pieces together.
Good morning. Yeah.
We're installing the amp rack, running boards, and speaker grills. Huge billet dually wheels, and then it's ready for its world premiere. You know, it's great working with great craftsmen, and it's even cooler to work with. Strive to do better and do better and do better.
I never had an older brother, so I've always looked at Bill as that older brother you look up to that always had the cooler stuff. Way older brother.
Me and Tim have this kind of sibling rivalry for sure. We're always pushing each other, you know, when we're building things for ourselves. He's working on his own car. You go by, you're like, oh man, what is, you gonna let this get by, Tim? I don't let him get by with stuff he would, you know, try to do on his truck, and him the same with me.
We have a competition with each other, but we want the best for his, best for mine. End of the day, we're still putting extensive on both of them. So he and I do push each other to go to the max, because it's us against everybody, not just him against me. You know, we're trying to set the bar on the whole car industry. Thanks, older bro.
Every year we have an open house at the shop. We got friends, family, old customers, and hopefully some new ones. And I can't wait to show them what we've been up to. It's always cool to, you know, have parties like this, have an open house, and just, you know, see what comes through the door. And
For sure.
stuff like this is exactly what, you know, gets me excited. You know, you never know what's going to come through the gate, but you got to go see what's going on. How old is he?
4 months.
4 months? Man, he's cool. Man, this thing's crazy. You know, there's a certain kind of person that loves lifted trucks. And for them, a brand new Chevy 5500 medium duty, 14 inches in the air, is going to blow them away.
Hey, you guys, come on over. I want to show you guys something. Come on. Come on over.
For real, thank you guys for coming out, you know, and always supporting, you know, myself, my team, Extensive. It says a lot to me. You know, you guys coming out. I know it's free food and free beer, but thanks for coming.
Thanks, Bill.
I got all you guys together. You know, I want you guys to check out the latest Extensive build and tell me what you think. All right, Timmy, come on out with it. Example of just teamwork makes the dream work. Brand new medium duty Silverado. When I got this thing, it was just a cabin chassis, just basic work truck, no frills whatsoever. So first thing we did is got it in the shop, put it on the lift, and got it at the height that looked good. Push the button again, a little higher. Push the button again, a little. All right, cool. Get the axles down in the right spot, and just build everything from the truck down to the ground. Starting out with the big, huge 4-link underneath this thing, big bags. This thing gets 14 inches of lift from all the way down to all the way up, totally adjustable. You know, if you're gonna have a big 4x4 truck like this, you gotta have some unique, cool wheels on this thing. 28-inch dually wheels with big 42-inch tall tires. You know, I wanted to go something totally different and do a utility bed. You know, nobody does a bed like this on a truck like this.
Typical Bill fashion, when we got the bed, couldn't leave well enough alone. You think you can bolt the bed on this thing? Yeah, I never worked with Bill Carlton. He had to change up the whole bed, tail lights, side, added some speakers on the top.
Well, if you're gonna have a stereo, you gotta have a stereo. I wanted like a wakeboard style stereo in the headache rack. Somebody behind me, they ain't gonna be able to hear either. And we put 10 Rockford Tower speakers all throughout the bottom of this thing. So not only that, it's gonna hit just as good. There's a ton of stereo just inside also. You know, we utilize every compartment in this thing just to be loud. From the speakers behind the grill to the winch, this thing's ready to party and get to work. Now you gotta be able to get in this big old truck, right? So had to make some steps, had to build some running boards and incorporated, toolboxes in this thing just to break up some of the smoothness that's in between there. Tie everything together and give it a little style. I really appreciate all you guys coming out and checking this thing out. Another example, teamwork right here. And this is what happens. Everybody comes together and makes some cool stuff. You guys walk around this thing, check it out. Let me know how we did.
Truck is unreal. I'd love to build something like this one day.
The way they did the speakers up here, that's amazing, man. I mean, you don't see that type of work made out of metal. Big 42 tires on them 28s, they're wrapped pretty good looking.
Man, I love this Bill, man. Bill showed out again, man. I'm definitely going to pull up to the shop and take this one out on the weekend and pull up to the club. And
reaction of these guys, we did what we were supposed to do. When you're building a custom truck, every part and piece plays upon the whole bed. There's so much customization on this thing. It'd take you 2 hours to see everything that's going on from bumper to bumper. This thing's going to bring a lot of business to the